gosh, I don't have a pen.
Hey guys.
Hey, hi.
What's up?
Hi everyone. We're just waiting like another minute to get people on here. I know some people are logging on now. How are you, Andrea?
I'm good. You guys, I just got off another call, so I'm always on a rant high as soon as I get off. So you guys better be ready for it.
We're ready. We love rants, so that's good.
Good.
All right. Well, I'll get started with your intro, and then maybe some more people will jump on. But,
okay.
So if anybody doesn't know, which you all should, we are super lucky to have Andrea being our guest host tonight. She's an 11-star Diamond, 2015 Elite Coach, and she is one of the major leaders in our Misfit Republic team. I reached out to her and just was like, hey, do you want to host our team call? And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I just sent that message. She's going to think I'm crazy. And she said yes. So thank you. And we're super lucky. Andrea is amazing at a lot of things, but something that I really admire her for is her ability to just totally think positively in any situation and control her thoughts. And she's going to talk to us tonight about how the power of your mind and your thoughts is so, so important and will really help you succeed in your business and basically every aspect of your life. So I asked her to talk about that tonight, about your thoughts and your manifesting. And sorry, I was waiting for a couple more people to come on, but that's probably the best intro I can give. And then I'll toss it over to Andrea and maybe she can tell us a little bit more about herself and get us going. I don't want to waste any more time.
Cool. So yeah, I'll just kind of jump in and introduce myself just in case there's some people on who might be newer or might not have heard my story, but I just didn't celebrate my 5-year coaching anniversary. I completely forgot about it. Kind of skipped right past it. In fact, I should write that down. I probably should do like a 5-year update post, but I started my business, literally my house was still in boxes. My husband had just returned home from Afghanistan. We had been separated from each other for 20 months, including his 12-month deployment. He was gone for training on the beginning of his deployment and the end of his deployment. So it was literally close to 2 years that our family was separated. And so the Army had moved us to the Washington, D.C. area. That's where I started my business. And my house was full of boxes. I was trying to get back into work. I was working a full-time job as a corporate event planner and executive assistant to the president of our company. And 2 small kids. Again, my husband's Army. So, not long after I started my business and we moved in, they're like, oh, hey, we're going to send you off for, a 2-month class. So I never knew when I was going to be a single mom-ish and when I wasn't. What I did know was that we had $100,000 worth of debt that was suffocating the living daylights out of us. And if you guys don't know me very well and you have little children around you, I totally forgot I made this sign for phone calls, but I do slip F words out every once in a while. And so if you don't want your children to be shocked or to learn how to say fuck, then you should put in headphones ASAP. Because I will try to be good about it, but I often don't pay attention. So sorry about that. And so started my business. right after Joelle Cease is my sponsor. She had sent me a message over Facebook. She friended me because I had commented on the Insanity page. I started Insanity. I bought it off of Amazon. I ended up getting a crappy burned copy. I didn't realize. But that was like a great experience for me to realize, like, I don't want my customers to go buy something off Amazon because the copy that I got was crap. Two of the CDs were, or the DVDs were duplicates instead of me getting the proper amount of CDs. But I was like, whatever, I'm just going to make this work because I just saw some girl on Facebook that got awesome results and I wanted to look hot when my husband got home. So that was kind of my gateway drug into the Beachbody world, was through Insanity. And I saw those commercials kind of subliminally through the introduction to my workouts about the coaching opportunity in Shakeology, but I really never paid attention to them because I was just like psyching myself out of like, please don't die during this workout because fuck, it's Insanity. And I realized, like, wow, this stuff really works because I was working a full-time job. I was also going to school at night and taking care of kids during my husband's deployment, and also taking care of my mom, who was going through a massive pill addiction, who was essentially worse than taking care of two children because she had keys to a car and a driver's license, and that was very scary. So it was a very, very, very stressful period of my life. And all of these things said, like, why the hell would you start a business right now on top of, like, you know, moving and like dealing with my mom's addiction and taking care of two children. And if you guys are military spouse, you know that it's not always the easiest, like, kind of intertwining your lives with someone who's been apart from you for so long, because you've paid all the bills, you've done all the man work around the house, you've taken the cars to get service, you've done everything. And I would just even forget to tell my husband, like, you know, we have friends coming over this weekend, because I was just so used to depending on myself. I didn't need to tell anybody else anything. And it was just this very complex world that I was living in. But I realized that I heard a story. I heard Christine Dwyer's story, who's kind of the top of our organization, that she had retired her husband from a corporate position that was a 6-figure income. And I was like, wow, that's really interesting. Like, I could do this Beachbody thing and make some money with it. And at first I started and I was like, well, maybe if I could just pay my student loan bills, that would be great. A couple $100 extra a month would change our lives, really change our lives. Because I was going to have to start paying my student loan bills, and we were already living paycheck to paycheck. So I didn't know where that money was going to come from. So I started and I was like, I'm just going to give this thing a try. And that try landed me to where I am today, with a lot of ups and downs in between. I started my business with so much excitement and enthusiasm. I had no idea what the hell I was doing. I didn't even realize, like, understand that it was network marketing when I signed up. I just thought, like, it was kind of this, like, referral system where you could just make some money. I had done Melaleuca for like a hot second years before. It was very stressful. They just made you spend a bunch of money on leads. I had horrible upline. It was an awful experience. Had a very, very bad taste in my mouth. I didn't even understand that Beachbody was network marketing when I signed up, or I probably wouldn't have signed up. And Joelle followed up with me so many times because I told her I'd watch this almost like hour-long video of what this Beachbody coaching opportunity was. And I would start it and stop it because we're in the middle of moving, and I was still working full time and taking care of kids. And she was so patient and so kind and was like, oh, no problem. When can I follow up with you next? And she always followed up with me. That is your first tip, you guys. The fortune is in the follow-up. Imagine if Joelle had never followed up with me. Number one, our lives would not be intertwined as like best friends, and I'm like pretty much an aunt to her unborn child already. I've kind of forced that on her. She didn't officially ask me, but whatever. Minor detail. But like, I have the coolest life with the most incredible friends, and we have built a incredible lifestyle, incredible organization together, which has just completely changed both of our lives. And she was just very kind and was like, okay, I'll follow up with you next week. No big deal. She wasn't worried about it or hurting my feelings. And I remember thinking to myself, this poor girl just followed up with me again. I told her I watched this video. So I'm going to go watch this video because I'm a woman of my word. If I tell someone I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. So I'm going to go watch this video, and then I'm going to send her a message back, and I'm going to tell her no thank you. That was my plan. I had no intention of signing up with this business. I was only watching the video because I promised her I would, and she had already invested her time into following up with me per my request. And so I watched the video, and by the end of it, the seed was planted, and I'm like, maybe this could be something. Who knows? Maybe I'll give this thing a try. And that try is flip my life upside down in every possible amazing way. It has challenged me. It has made me grow. It has made me cry my mother effing eyes out. Like, there's been so many days where like they're happy tears, and days where I'm just like, I suck. I'm never going to be able to do this. Everyone's better than me. I don't have a success story. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not amazing enough. I'm not a good enough leader. I suck at social media, blah, blah, blah. All these like excuses that kept me stuck and frustrated. So I started my business. I did pretty well in the first like 5-6 months ish. And then jealousy hit me. And this is where I became, I had to learn the power of the tongue and the power of the mindset. And that changed my life, not just in my business, but in my relationships, in my ability to be a good friend, and my ability to be a great parent. Has changed everything. My kids tell all their friends, like, my mom is so weird, but they say it with this like look on their face, like, it's so cool, you guys, like, come see what we'll do at my house. Like, we jump on trampolines so that we can like shake up our lymphatic system, and like we meditate. Like, my daughter could teach a manifesting class. My daughter is like obsessed. So, but I just feel like the things that I have learned in my business is going to make their life so much cooler. And all of those sleepless nights, 2 years without TV, 2 years with sleeping 5 hours of sleep at night because I was working a full-time job and building my business at the same time, all those sacrifices were made so well worth it, because I have grown so much to become more of value and of service to other people. But it has also given me so much freedom, not just freedom to go out and buy cool stuff, but freedom of choice, freedom to show up for my family, freedom. When my best friend called me this last Sunday and said, I need you, can you come help me? I booked a plane ticket on Monday for this Friday. And I said yes, because I have location freedom, I have freedom of time, and I have financial freedom. And I only have that because I made tremendous sacrifices in the beginning of my business. And I didn't give up when it got hard. This business is going to get hard if it isn't already. You guys are going to hit plateaus. You guys are going to hit roadblocks. And I'm going to teach you guys how to get through those, okay? So let me share my screen. I was going to share something else with you guys, but I'm kind of going off script here. I'm going to share something completely different than I had originally planned. Hold on. So this is one of my absolute favorite quotes. It's by Winston Churchill, and it says, success is walking from failure to failure with no loss of enthusiasm. I'm going to go through some of these slides, not all of them. So if you guys see me skip through some of them, it's on purpose, because I wasn't actually planning on showing these slides tonight. I love sharing the success story of Sarah Blakely, who most women know her because she changed her lives with Spanx. We can now wear the LuLaRoe or whatever dresses without feeling like, oh my God, I cannot even wear these today. Changed our freaking lives. But the cool story, I was just happened to catch this interview of her on TV, was she became this business mogul because at a very early age, her dad would go ask her, when she'd come home from school, he would say with excitement, he would say, what did you fail at today? And he praised his children for failure. And I thought, like, number one, I need to start being better at doing that for myself. And number two, that just changed my life as a parent, because I don't want to just praise my children when they're doing well. I want to praise them for behavior, not result. And I want to praise them for being willing to take risks, because that is going to make it okay for them to be outside their comfort zone, and let them know that failure is a positive, not a negative. If you guys want to succeed in this business, fail hard, fail fast, learn from it, and move on. Failure is actually the key to success. I have failed more than I have succeeded. It's just that when I do succeed, the payoff is bigger. So, hit diamond in 40 days. I had no skill. I said all the wrong things. I plugged into just the training, and I was learning while I was doing. I wasn't waiting for the conditions to be perfect. I would just take action. I would learn something, generally go reteach it to my team, and then do it myself as well. Not in that order, actually. Learn, do, and then reteach, which actually helped me cement the skills much faster when I made that my behavior of learn something, do it myself, make sure it works, and then reteach it to other people. I had laser beam focused. I was making about $500 a week in 6 months. And then I got bit with the jealousy bug. This is where my negative thoughts started to creep in, and they still happen to me. They're going to happen to you if they haven't already, and they probably have at some point. But now I know what to do about it. I would hear voices like, you can't do it. She's better than you. You're good, but you'll never be great. Take it easy. You can take a rest. You've done 80% of your workout. You can stop here. So I was teaching myself to stop shy just of my goal, which was keeping me from getting there. Or you're not pretty enough. Your coaches don't want it bad enough. You should just give up. You're not a good leader. You're not good enough to be peers with them. The first time I was asked to speak on stage at Summit, I'm like, what? You want me to teach next to these people that I have learned everything from? And all of these negative voices started creeping in. Like, I had to hire a coach to like manage my freaking anxiety, because I just had this belief that like I would put people too far up on a pedestal, which wasn't fair to them, and it wasn't fair to me. If you guys put other people on a pedestal, it's great to admire other people, but when you put them too high up and you make it sound like Caitlin's first, what she said when she introduced me about like, holy crap, I can't just send that message. Why the fuck not? Right? Like, who am I? Just because I've been in this business for 5 years doesn't make me better or worse. I'm still a mom. I'm still a human being. Like, we all should talk to each other on a human to human level, not based off of each other's achievements. And I've gotten better at that too, but I'm not perfect at it either. There's other people where I'm like, oh, you've achieved so much. Like, I shouldn't even be in your space. I shouldn't be breathing the same air as you. And it's not fair. It's not fair to put them on that pedestal because they're human and they will disappoint you. And it's not fair because it's keeping you stuck by thinking that they're better than you. So this is kind of how my income went. It started to grow, and then as soon as I started playing the comparison game, my income started climbing and almost went back down to zero. And so once I started learning to master my mindset, I spent probably a year of my business where the only personal development that I did was on my mindset, learning like law of attraction, learning manifestation, and the power of the spoken word. That's actually a book that you guys could read, The Power of the Spoken Word. It's pretty life-changing. And this chart is an example of the correlation between my mindset and my financial growth in this business. And I would like to say that it was a pretty staggeringly different kind of result than I was getting before when I was seeing numbers go down. And my income has continued to increase ever since then. So when you guys get stuck in your business and you start to feel like, oh, poor me, it's just not working for me and it's easier for her, she's like got it easier because of XYZ, that is your ego trying to keep you safe and will keep you stuck. It's going to happen. The thoughts will come up. But what you need to do is recognize them and learn how to replace them. Confidence is something that comes from behavior and action. We all think about it. There's this great book called The Confidence Gap that we're reading together with some of my, one of my small group, my Push to Diamond group. And the book explained it in this way, where, you know, we take for granted the fact that we can pick up a fork and a knife and like cut meat. We haven't been able to do that for forever, right? At some point, that was a brand new skill to us. We had to learn it, but we take for granted that when we were younger, we didn't have our ego getting in the way. As adults, we're like, oh my gosh, are they watching me? Like, I might get embarrassed. Someone might judge me. And so it's actually, we make it harder for ourselves to learn new skill because we're afraid of success or failure, and especially doing that publicly. So confidence comes from, you can gain more confidence simply by doing something right now with me. Sit up super tall, like you have a thread going through your body and pulling you straight up, so your spine is straight and your shoulders back. Just by changing your physicality, you start to feel more confident. So if you guys are maybe on a phone call with a prospect, where you're talking and you're sending an invite to someone that maybe might scare you, then change your how you're sitting or how you're standing. And if you're standing, even better. I like to do mentoring calls with my team while I'm walking around, because I'm getting blood and oxygen moving through my body, and I'm standing in a position that makes me feel more confident, that makes me feel like I can be of more service, even if they ask me questions and I don't know the answer, which still happens all the time. And I've just become more confident to know I don't know the answer, but I know how to research. So that's where I gained my confidence initially in my business. Was I have no idea how to work this network marketing Beachbody coaching thing, but I know how to research. So I gained my confidence from my ability to Google. And that's pretty much how I grew my business. Was if I felt stuck, I didn't even want to waste anybody else's time. I wanted to go to Google and get the answer as fast as possible. And if I didn't get the answer immediately, which most of the time I did, it would lead me to a resource that would give me the answer generally. Jealousy is a poison that will rob you of your destiny. If you spend too much time focused on what other people are achieving and comparing yourself and focused on what you're not, you will stay stuck. So what I mean by that is, if, like in the beginning, I would say she's prettier than me or she's successful, I would say Janelle Summers. Well, of course she's successful because she's Shalene's sister. And of course Lindsay Matley is successful because she's a freaking model. And of course Hillary Kelly is a top 10 coach because she has a 30-pound weight loss success story, but I don't have a weight loss success story. So I look for reasons why they were successful and why I wasn't. Do you guys see all the mental energy that would go into that? You probably might have experienced some of that yourself. That's actually pulling you away from growing your business and from being of service to other people. So someone reached out to me the other day, not a Beachbody coach, but stuck in their business. And they're like, well, I'm afraid of this and this and this. And I said, well, the reason you're not succeeding is because the only person you're focused on right now is yourself. And they're like, oh, really? And I was like, yes, let me break that down for you. That was a little bit of tough love. And I said, all of the things that you just said to me were about your fear of this, but let me ask you, what do you want to do for them? Because when you invest your energy and your thoughts and your language into what you can do to serve other people, to help them get what they want, you're not keeping yourself stuck anymore. You're serving them. You're elevating your influence, which will all then open yourself up for growth, massive growth, if you stay consistent with it. So a little trick for you guys to keep yourself excited and to keep you motivated is to write your goals every single week and visualize. And then the next trick is to walk as if they're already happening with expectation. Start making decisions and movements in your life as if your life is shifting to be whatever it is that you want it to be. So we'll say, for example, your goal is to be a diamond coach or an elite coach. Well, how do they work their business? What do they do in their business? Do that now. Don't wait to become a diamond, because that's not how it works. You do the behaviors of the diamond and then you become it. You do the behaviors of an elite coach and then you become it. You always think like, oh, well, I'll be more confident after this happens. Wrong. Doesn't work that way. It's not that I don't feel fear in my business. I do. It's just that I change my physicality. I decide to take action and movement. And through the action and movement, it gets easier and I feel more confident and it's less scary. Uh-oh. I'm getting a sign that says we're almost out of time. Or is that just popping for me?
We're good.
Oh, weird. Okay. Just making sure. Okay. Okay. I'm just going to spend a second on this slide. Have some mother effing fun, you guys. We spend so much time thinking like, what if this doesn't work? We overanalyze everything. We wonder like what people are going to think about us if we try this new thing. What if this doesn't work? What if it does? What if I'm not successful enough? What if I'm too successful? And we stay stuck. But if you guys walked away with one thing tonight, just one, it would be have more fun in your business and your business will grow. Because when people see you excited and they see your energy levels up, fun opens up your subconscious mind for more creative ideas. You don't resist activities that would grow your business because they're joyful for you. And you don't resist showing up on days that you're supposed to be working because you want to. My husband told me one time, he's like, you should take like a full week off your business. And I said, what the hell did I do to you? Why am I in trouble? That doesn't sound like fun. Like that sounds like you're putting me in timeout and I don't appreciate that. So if you guys have more fun in your business will grow faster. And I'm going to skip this one because I have a better slide that I added. Oops. Why is this not letting me? I can't even get my cursor to work. Go forward. Damn it. Oh, I bet my thing died. Hold on. I bet I need a new battery. There you guys. Maybe not. Okay, I think I got it. Okay, so let's say that you guys want to achieve maybe what I've done in my business. I'm going to use my own business for an example because that's what I know. Or maybe you look at someone else's business and you're like, well, I want what they have. I feel like I'm putting in the same amount of work, but in this business, effort and time don't matter. What matters is that you're doing the right behaviors. So you could be putting in the same amount of hours, the same amount of focused, intense energy as someone else, but if you're not doing the right things that actually grow your business, then you're spinning your wheels. That's what the 4 vital behaviors for and the power hour are for. I can always go back and look at a time in my business when I've been stuck. And if my business isn't moving forward, I can look at that list honestly and say, I stopped doing that, or I stopped doing enough of it. Maybe I was still doing some of it, but I wasn't doing enough of it. So to get where I have gotten today, the first, I'd say 3 years of my business, I would maybe 15 is very, very generous. I didn't track this, but my husband had to steal my laptop and my phone and hide them from me to get me to take a day off. And I would cry. I'm not even joking to you guys. I would cry because I thought that it was just going to push me back further, and I was exhausted. I wasn't sleeping. And I thought if you take that from me, then I'm not going to be able to get enough work done, and it's going to keep me stuck for longer. But the reality was I should have at least taken 1 day off every single week to recover, to give myself new additional energy for my business. I was consistent with the vital behaviors, except for during that period of declining, because when I was so focused on jealousy and what other people were doing, I stopped inviting as much. Because I was thinking I stayed stuck at Diamond for 18 months. I'm well, nobody's going to go Diamond anyway, so why should I even bother? Even though I wanted to grow and I wanted my coaches to go Diamond, the secret belief in my subconscious was nobody's going to do the work. And so I was speaking death on my coaches. And I just kept saying to myself, why does nobody get this but me? And someone kind of bitch slapped me one time, and kind of slapped those words out of my mouth and was that's why your coaches are stuck, because you think that they're never going to get it. And it's not that I was trying to keep my coaches stuck. I wanted them to succeed, not just for myself, but for them too. But I was just thinking, like, from past behavior, I had a few people who didn't get it. And so I thought everybody's going to be like that. And so I just started speaking death on them. So I stopped inviting as much. I was maybe recruiting like 0 to 1. No, I had to have been recruiting 1 coach a month, because to hit Success Club, at the time, the rules for Success Club were that you at least had to have 1 new coach a month. That's not the case anymore. So if you haven't been a coach that long, you wouldn't remember that. But so I was only recruiting enough to hit Success Club 5-ish and 1 new coach a month. And that's why my business was declining. I was not putting the same amount of focused, intense effort into the right behaviors of inviting, personal development, and continuing to grow my business, which is really just the 4 vital behaviors. I can look at that and say, oh, I haven't been inviting enough or adding my network enough. I probably haven't been doing enough personal development, or I haven't completed a full program in a while. I can always go back and analyze in my business where the gap is and why I'm not growing. I've been to every summit. I know summit dates a year out in advance, just like you guys do. So if someone wants to get married on those dates, sorry for them. That's not my problem, because summit is like my annual board meeting. And if this business, I'm in it for the long haul. I have the vision for longevity. This is our retirement. And so if someone wants to, plan something, like my kids someday are going to get married, and I bet you they won't even dream of planning their wedding day on Summit, because they know mom will, okay, fine, maybe I might, but I would be very angry at my children for planning it over Summit, because that's just a non-negotiable for my business. I have to be there. Even when I was broke, I would sell stuff out of my house to get to Summit. There was no excuse in the book that could have kept me away. As a leader, I would step up after, I think it was like my first or second Super Saturday. I either started hosting them myself, or I started offering to help out. And that's how I slowly ended up on their market council. But I realized that was a leadership activity. The energy that people get from a live event was very important. And so it was important for me to be there. Even if I had to plan my son's birthday in the second half of the day so that I could be at Super Saturday, which I've done, I think, twice in my business, then I did that. I always figured a way around it. It wasn't that I neglected my family or I neglected my business. I just made it work. There was never a plan B. It was always, this isn't a problem. This is a puzzle. How can I figure it out? Every national wake-up call, even still today, there's stuff that they're teaching because they're teaching to a coach or an emerald rank, where I'm like, I've heard this before. Now I can either be closed-minded and I could just not listen, or I could not pay attention, or I could say, okay, as a leader, maybe they're going to teach this differently than I would teach it. So how can I reteach it to my coaches? So that's how I think differently as a leader, instead of me thinking really just kind of selfishly about myself of like, I already know how to do this. It's more about how can I reteach this better, more efficiently for my team? Because if they're on that wake-up call, they clearly are doing something right in their business, and I am not too good to learn from them, ever. I do personal development like crazy. So for the year of my business where I started to see that massive growth, my personal development was focused almost exclusively on mindset. So I was reading books like The Power of Intention. I was reading The Power of the Spoken Word. I read the book The Secret. I can't even think of like all the books that I read, but like I had a 45-minute drive to work and a 45-minute drive home from work. So I did 90 minutes of personal development every day. I did not listen to music while I was driving. My car was my drive time academy, is what I called it, because I just didn't have any other time to do my personal development. So I did all my personal development on audio. I wanted to master social media. I wanted to learn more about marketing. The book, what is the name of that? I just said the name of that book. It'll come to me in a second. I read this really, really great book on like why things catch on. Contagious. The book's called Contagious. Why Things Catch On. That was like a game changer for me marketing wise. You guys can, most of the stuff that like I've either bought in a book, you could probably find on YouTube for free. So if like finances are an issue, there was never a problem. It was always a puzzle. So if I couldn't afford to spend money on it, I would find another way to learn it. there's been blog posts. So maybe it took me longer to piece together a bunch of blog posts or to listen to podcasts. But I would always find a way. I would pay attention and just study how other people outside of our industry were doing things differently. And I would approach my business in the same way. I would, in the beginning, where I started getting stuck with jealousy was I paid too much attention to what other coaches were doing. And so I was in the constant comparison game of like, oh, my stuff's just not as good as theirs, so why bother? So my stuff remained crap, and it wasn't original because I was too influenced by other people. So if you guys are feeling that way right now, where you're just like, my stuff isn't good enough, I read the best quote. Where is that? I'm going to pull that quote up for you guys. This gave me chills yesterday reading it. But as soon as I stopped paying attention to what other people were doing and started paying attention to what my personal skill sets were, what I was really, really good at, what I was passionate about, and started really utilizing those in my business. Fuck, where is this quote? It's so good, you guys. That is when my business really, like my brand felt more polished. It felt more authentic. I loved to participate in it because it just felt really, really good to me because it felt like I owned it, and I couldn't compare myself to other people's because there's only one of me. And it didn't feel bad anymore to continue to compare myself. And every once in a while, even still to this day, I catch myself saying like, oh, there's this like prettier, their Instagram feed is prettier than mine. And then I realize like, oh, there I am going again. And I have to pull myself out of my Instagram feed and stuff. I unfollowed pretty much every single coach. As soon as I find that, I will share it with you guys, but I'll pull it up at the end. Oh, here it is. I found it. The quote is, maybe the journey isn't so much about becoming anything. Maybe it's about unbecoming everything that isn't really you, so you can be who you were meant to be in the first place. That quote just was like, gave me like the chills all up and down my spine of like, yes, that was my journey. It was unbecoming everything that I thought I was supposed to be and just being myself. If something isn't working, I take responsibility. It wasn't Joelle's fault. It wasn't Mindy Winder's fault. It wasn't Beachbody's fault. It wasn't customer relations fault. I take responsibility for what's going on in my business. I go to conferences outside of Beachbody. I don't just pay attention to what Beachbody is teaching us. I go to Tony Robbins and Brendon Burchard and Shalene's events. There's just so many good conferences to keep my skill set continuing to grow, to keep me motivated and excited. And if you're in this business for the long haul, there's going to be times where your motivation starts to dwindle. It happens to every one of us because when you do the same thing over and over, it starts to feel boring. So you have to be intentional about learning new things, about reapproaching stuff, about polishing stuff, looking at it differently so that you can get excited again about your business. It's just like a marriage. If you're going to be in it for forever, you've got to find ways to keep it spicy, right? You have to do the same thing with your business. I've done online courses. I've hired coaches. Rachel Luna was my very first business coach, and probably one of the smartest financial investments I ever made was hiring her as my coach. I got uncomfortable and started reaching outside my network. And that was another reason why I was kind of excited that Caitlin said that in the beginning was it did feel uncomfortable to her at first. Hopefully she knows now, like that she doesn't need to feel that way to reach out to other people, not just to me, but to other people. Because I know if I needed something, I could go back to Caitlin and be like, yo, could you help me out with this? And I know like she would give that back to me. And so I decided, okay, I have to start reaching out and asking other people, partner with me on projects. Let's do this together. That's how I ended up doing the Entrepreneur Academy last year and then again this year. Because I got uncomfortable and I was like, I didn't know Raina Odell at the time when we did it last year. And I was like, okay, Joelle has met Raina before at leadership. So I reached out to Joelle and I said, reach out to Raina and see if she would be interested in doing this. So I leveraged a connection that I already had. And then I reached out to Chelsea, who I had the courage to get to know at one of Shalene's events. I bumped into her there. And we all started partnering and then ended up asking Katie. And now I know I can reach out to them at any time and say, yo, I need your help with this, because they know they can do the same for me. Whenever I reach out and I try to connect and partner with people, I don't just ask, what can they do for me? But I go and I bring stuff to the table and I say, what can I do for you too? And that has been served me really, really well in my business. If my numbers are slowing down, I ask myself, what did I stop doing? I can always go back and look at the Power Hour to-do list and figure out I've stopped doing something. My business is slowing, not because of the economy. Now, this business is economy proof, you guys. In 2008 and 2009 and 2010, when everybody else was losing jobs, our business was increasing and growing. Even when we were selling 60 to 90 minute workouts. Could you guys imagine doing a 90-minute workout anymore? I'm like, I am way too good for anything over 30 minutes, guys. We're so spoiled with like 21-day fix and the shorter workouts that work really well. But we were selling hard stuff. Shakeology was expensive. There was a year where Shakeology tasted like shit. It was awful, guys. They tried to like make it even healthier, and then it became nasty. But we were still able to sell it. I didn't watch TV. I sacrificed sleep for 2 years. I invested money to grow my business. I didn't go into debt for my business, but as soon as I made money, I spent it back on my business because I said, we're already uncomfortable being in debt before. We can stay uncomfortable continuing to be in debt for a little while longer because in order to leverage my business, grow it, I need to invest into my skill. And I'm an independent researcher. We talked about that already. And I don't look at things as problems, only puzzles. So there we go. The last thing that I want to share with you guys, actually this is the second to the last thing, life is going to get in your way. If you guys are in this for the forever, for the long game, something's going to happen. It could be as tragic as divorce or a death in the family, or something as simple as like your kids are sick for a week or you're sick for a week. I have been having health problems that I don't talk about a whole lot just because I don't know what to say because I have no idea what the issue is yet since before I started my business. If I had let that stop me, I would still be stuck and broke and frustrated and unhappy and not living the life that I deserve and not helping other people live the life that they deserve. I've had financial challenges up the wazoo, dear Lord. I remember hearing a story on a national wake-up call. I think that's another reason I love the wake-up calls is the stories, even if they're not teaching skill sets that I don't already know like really, really well, the stories I can always put in my pocket to share with someone who might be struggling. Because if I can connect one of my coaches' struggles to another person who has struggled in that same way and show them that it's possible to get out of it, I just changed their life. And so that's another reason I love the wake-up call so much. But I remember hearing the story of someone who hit Success Club on like the last day of the month or something like that while their house was flooding. Who wants to go? Most people would be like, my house is flooding, I'm out. Sorry, guys. But they just didn't. They chose differently. They said, life is going to hit me. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. How am I going to still manage my business? Joelle is a great example of that because she's been on bed rest for 4 months and hitting Success Club every single month. She hit Success Club 17 on bed rest in August when everybody else is barbecuing and vacationing. When most people are like, I can't hit Success Club this month because nobody wants to buy fitness in August. And yet the girl on bed rest hit Success Club 17 because she made a choice. She did the right behavior. She thought differently about it. She believed that there's people out there who needed it and wanted it, and she did the work. She didn't let it get in her way. Life will always get in your way if you let it. Okay, the last thing that I want to share with you guys is, and then I'll actually give this as like a fun little printable for you. Now I have to reshare my screen onto this one. This is something that I created as like a fun little download for, I was a guest speaker on Rachel Luna's podcast, and we were just talking about like manifestation, which is a super fun topic. I love, love, love talking about this topic. But these are the 6 steps to how to manifest something you want. Let's say it's like a new income level or a new rank or new relationships, money right now. It doesn't matter. These steps work if you work them. So number 1 is get clear about what you want and why you want it. The why is really, really important because the why drives you to continue to work at it even when things get hard. For me, my why was like I just had this vision of not feeling rushed every single day, not letting other people manage my time, being in charge of my own time, being a parent first, business owner second. And so I would imagine myself what it would be like on the day where I could wake up in the morning, I could take my kids to school, I could wake up and I could have a cup of coffee, and we weren't all rushing and me yelling at my kids like, hurry up. You know, like you guys know what it's like yelling at a 5-year-old to hurry up. As soon as you say hurry up, they're like, what? Slow down. Like it's the exact opposite of what you're trying to get. But I just was like, and now whenever someone tries to rush me, I give them the middle finger. My husband does it to me all the time. And I'm like, you do not tell me what to do, mister. You cannot rush me, because I work so hard to live a lifestyle where nobody can force to rush me. The only time I run for anything is an airplane. That's the only time where you will get me to rush, if I might miss an airplane. Step 2 is believe you can have it. This is a really, really important step, because if you are looking at like, okay, I want to make a 6-figure income, but that doesn't feel believable to you, you need to back your goal down a little bit. That doesn't mean drop the goal. It just means back it down to something that gives you a little bit of the butterflies, but it's still believable. So we'll say your goal is like diamond, or maybe $250 a week. If you can get behind that goal and really believe that you can have it, if you put in the proper effort, you will. But if you don't believe it, you're sending a sign to your subconscious mind that says, I want this, but I can't have it. And so what your subconscious does is says, your wish is my command. And so it creates all kinds of mental roadblocks for you so that you don't have it, because your core belief is, I can't have it. I don't believe it. So if it's not believable to you, back your goal down a little bit until it is. And step 3, we talked about this already a little bit, kind of as if, you know, when it comes to your rank, take action as if it's already on the way. You take action before it gets here, and you treat your life as if it's already an inevitable. And for example, maybe your goal is like you need a new family car. So take action as if it's already on the way. Go get a business card from the person who you're going to buy the car from. Start that relationship now. Go test drive cars, smell the car, touch the steering wheel, drive it, listen to the engine, so that when you go to sleep at night, you're excited and you're like, okay, this is happening. This is getting real. You're sending that sign to your subconscious that says, this ish is getting real. It's happening. Even if it's a year out, it doesn't matter. You're taking little actions as if it's already on the way. Step 4 is visualize. So this particular printable I made specifically for manifesting money, but you guys can insert anything here into money, whether it's rank or a vacation or anything like that. But visualize, like, what's it going to look like when this is your life? So that's what I was talking about before. I would visualize what it was going to be like to wake up and slowly drink a cup of coffee and not rush my kids out, and to be able to make them breakfast instead of me knowing that they're eating like nasty cereal at the daycare provider that they were eating, or that they were staying at in the morning time. And I was so connected to the romance of that vision that I knew that it was inevitable, and that's why I didn't give up. Pure stubbornness, and I was already living in that vision. It was already mine. And so I knew, like, the time is going to pass no matter what. So if it takes me a little bit longer to get there, who freaking cares? I'm still going to get there, because I already am so connected to this vision that it's not possible to live my life without this anymore. Step 5 is write how you feel once you have it, and then feel it now. Have gratitude. Give thanks that this is on the way. So I do this when I'm manifesting new coaches. I give thanks for, like, the new partnerships are on the way, and I would visualize myself having, you know, the first time they got onto our group coaching Zoom, and me sending them their welcome email, and how excited I'll be when I send them their leadership planner when they hit diamond. And I visualize this partnership of the people that I want to work with, and I give thanks that this is happening for me. It's happening for them. The right relationships are going to come because I'm going to do the work, and I'm going to be ready and willing to receive them. Now, what will happen is, if you're telling yourself that nobody wants this business, the right people could be right in front of your face and you wouldn't notice them, because your subconscious is saying, you told your subconscious nobody wants this. It's the same reason some people pass by a penny on the sidewalk and some people don't. And some people pick it up and notice it, and some people walk right by it and they never see it. Because the people who are operating from a state of financial lack don't even notice the penny. Their subconscious blinds them from even seeing it. Or they see the penny and they say, it's just a penny. I say pick the motherfucker up, because that penny is a sign that abundance is on the way, and I give thanks, because small beginnings can grow. What you bless grows. What you focus on grows. That goes for good and bad. So if you're focused on negative, negative will continue to grow. And you guys know this because unless men popped on that I didn't notice. But I think probably at some point, every woman in their life has thought to themselves, maybe as a teenager or even later in life, married or whatever, but in any relationship, there's been a moment where your husband or significant other showed up late. And you're like, where are they? And then you build it up in your head, and either they're dead in a ditch and you're freaking the F out because they're gone, or they're cheating, right? Like they're with another woman, that girl that was out in the office, he's probably sitting there flirting with her. Maybe he's not having an affair, but he's definitely flirting. Like we let things go in our head, and the longer that we focus on it, the bigger it gets, until he walks through the door and we're like, well, thank God you're not dead, but you're about to be for making me worry, because we focused and we expanded this element of fear, whatever the fear may be, and it just got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and expanded. Now it works the same way with the positive. What you focus on, if it's a positive, will continue to expand. So if you focus on business growth and new relationships and money continuously coming in, those thoughts of excitement, fulfillment, joy, gratitude will all continue to expand. So this is an actual action step that I want you guys to start taking, if not once a week, if not every single day, at least once a week. This would be a great daily practice for you to go to bed every night. Like if you pray, do it while you're praying. If you don't, just journal and say, like, I give thanks for this day, and then write down what you're thankful for. No detail is too small, because the penny will grow if you give thanks and gratitude for it. I promise. I dare you to try to prove me wrong. If you do this right, I dare you. You can't, you won't. And then step 6, let your inner guide lead you, which means just like trust your gut. We already know the answers to the questions that we're looking for most of the time. So if you're, and a lot of times we try to ignore them because either we don't want to hear the answer because the answer is going to make us uncomfortable, or it's going to be hard, or we're just feeding ourselves so many negative thoughts that we can't hear it. We can't hear that like inner gut feeling or intuition. Maybe it's, if you guys are spiritual, it could be called that still small voice that you might hear that's just like trying to guide you and trying to help elevate you and move forward. But that inner guide, that gut feeling will serve you really, really well if you start to flex that muscle and you start to use it more often. So I will share this printable with you guys if it will serve you, but that is all I had. And I do have a few minutes for questions if you guys need.
I have a question. I guess I'll get started if anybody else has some. Thank you for staying on with us for a few minutes. Oh, am I unmuted? Did you hear me? Yes. Okay.
I hear you.
So on your absolute worst days, like, what do you say? What do you do? How do you pull yourself out of it? You know, you've given us a lot of really good tips that I think that we can put into practice on a regular basis. But, you know, there are those days where you're just like, fuck that. I don't even care. I'm not going to go through these steps. Like, that's stupid to me right now. So, like, what do you do then? Like, how do you keep going?
That happens to me about 3 days a month right before my period. That was me last week. I'm like, fuck everyone. I don't want to talk to anyone. And I didn't talk to anyone in those 3 days, but there's more like 2 days where I was just like in a funk. But I will tell you the action steps that I took to get myself out of the funk, because I don't want to stay there for long, and you can perpetuate that if you let yourself. I focus heavily on my nutrition, because nutrition can put you in a bad mood. It can really, really affect your moods. I give myself space and permission to take care of myself. I am a very, very busy personality and kind of a squirrel type personality too, where I get distracted very easily. But I made a decision at the beginning of last year that I needed to learn to meditate, which before I was like, man, I'm never going to figure this stuff out. Like, how am I supposed to sit here without thinking for 20 minutes? It's impossible. I suck. And I just like gave up. The reality is like, you can't, it's impossible to sit there without thinking, but really it just became this more of this practice of like me just sitting there and being still with my thoughts, and deep breathing. The deep breath exercises changed a lot for me. And then I would slowly start to get moments where it would be like a second of like blissful nothingness. That's all I can get still, guys. Like, it's still not me sitting there for 5 minutes having no thoughts whatsoever. I'm like, shit, I gotta take out the trash today. You start going through your to-do list, and then you remind yourself that you had an argument with someone and you think about that. But I did slowly start to learn. I love the Oprah Deepak guided meditations. I fall asleep to Oprah. She's like my hero. So I would do meditations in the morning. Even if I could only get 60 seconds of just focusing on deep breaths, and that was it, that was still super, super helpful to me. And I would give myself permission to not serve other people, because a couple during, and that's why I usually take, if you guys take 1 day a week off, pick 1 day where you're only doing things for yourself. You will see that you are able to serve at a much higher level for other people by doing that. And women especially tend to avoid doing things for ourselves because we feel like it's selfish. And really the biggest gift you can give to other people is to take care of yourself first. So if you're exercising, if you're eating right, if you allow yourself alone time, I know that's hard when you guys have little kids. Like, dang, like I remember those days so well. I'm finally at the stage right now, like if I want to run out of my house and go have coffee, my kids won't kill themselves or die or something like that. It's really nice. You guys will get there, I promise. But if you could just ask your husband, can I have 60 minutes just to go on a walk or something like that? Just get out and be alone with your thoughts and be quiet, deep breaths, take in nature, just spend moments in gratitude. And even still doing all of that, at the end of it, I still had moments like where I was like, fuck everyone. Like, it's never going to be perfect, you guys. Nobody is freaking enlightened 24/7. Okay, I don't even think Buddha was. So if he says he was, whatever. But like, I don't believe it for a second. But there's going to be times where you have to kind of pull back and say and recognize I'm depleted and I am of no service to other people unless I give to myself right now in this moment. And that is okay. Give yourself that permission. But you can't stay there for long times. Did that help?
Yes. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Anyone? While we have her here?
Last chance. I will never speak to you guys again.
Ever. You'll never, ever hear from her for the rest of your life. Ask whatever you want.
I'm like brain dead right now. I'm just like looking through all of your notes or all the notes I took, and there's just so many amazing tips. You covered so much. I don't even know where I would have a question.
I have one other little tip that I'll give you guys that's kind of outside, just kind of mastering your mindset. But one thing that has been working really well for me in expanding my network, because as an introvert, like that was hard for me at first to like want to go friend people on Facebook and add to my network. So when I started doing groups, like especially free groups, or now I have this ongoing group called Spiritual Girl Millionaire Life, which is where we just talk about like money, we talk about like spirituality, manifestation, relationships, it doesn't matter. But I decided like the things that really feed me and give me energy are community, are idea sharing. The introverted side of me is not that type of person where if you sit next to me on an airplane and try to talk about the weather, I will put my headphones in and be like, yep, the weather's nice, headphones in, bye. Like, but if you want to start talking to me about your daddy issues, I will talk to you for a 6-hour plane ride, and we will dig straight deep into like all of like the deepest, areas of your soul, because I need like deep connection with people. That's what feeds me. So you guys could I'll give you a worksheet actually too. So remind me, Caitlin, I owe you guys 2 worksheets.
All right.
It's actually in the leadership planner, so you guys probably have access to it, but I have it separated as an original PDF. But the worksheet just says what gives you energy and what takes energy away. And I don't mean like coffee gives me energy, my 3-year-old depletes my energy. I mean, like, for me, it's like that deep human connection. That's what I'm looking for. The other thing is like creativity. I love working on creative projects. If my husband wants to sit there and talk to me about like satellites, I'm in a zone out and be like, can I have some color crayons or highlighters, please? Because I can't keep up with you. That's just not like who I am. That feeds me, like anything that gets me, being creative. So that's another thing too, is I'll pull myself, usually on Fridays, I won't do one-on-one calls. And I'll work on creative projects and I'll do like, self-care type stuff. But, so I write down in that area, like all the things that get me excited. This right here feeds me. This gives me energy when I do group coaching, because I love elevating and lifting other people up. I love helping give people aha moments. I love teaching. I didn't realize that I loved teaching until I started coaching. I never saw myself as a teacher type of personality. But I just love to share something that's worked for me in hopes that it will change someone else's life the way that it changed mine. So in that area, you write down all those things. What gives you energy? What gets you excited about this business? It may not look the same as me. What gets you excited could be creating an Excel spreadsheet. I have friends that are like, yes, let me create the spreadsheets. And I'm like, yeah, you can have that shit. And that's great, because then that's a great partnership. Their strengths are my weaknesses and vice versa. But what depletes my energy are the things that are like more detailed Excel spreadsheet type stuff. So I outsource that to either as someone on my team. We trade skill sets and I do something for them and they do something for me, or I hire someone to do it. But the reason that I share that with you guys is because when you can tap into like the things that really get you excited, you won't want to resist your business. You won't want to resist doing the hard stuff. You'll feel that craving to want to work your business every single day. And once you create a business that you become obsessed with, nobody can stop you, because you'll show up and you'll do the hard shit, even when you didn't think that you could before. So when I started that free group, that was my answer to expanding my network in a way that felt good, and also a way that gave me energy versus depleting my energy, was sending friend requests to random strangers, because I'm way too introverted for that. I did it and it was hard, but I hated it. So now I don't do that anymore. I let other people expand my network for me. And so I said, I'm going to create a space where I'm going to provide massive value of content that I love to talk about. So I want to show up in this space and I want to give. And I don't care if people are going to do business with me, because I'm so happy giving to them. I don't care anyway. It just turns out the awesome benefit is that they do want to do business with me once I give to them. Cool? Does that help? Anybody else hate adding to their network?
That group is amazing and it's helped me so much. But you made a post the other day, like, what has this group done for you recently? And I thought about it, and my immediate response wasn't even about what it had done for me, but what it had done for other people who I didn't even think would have been interested in a group like that, like people that I've connected with. And so, I mean, what you set out to do, you've done very successfully with that group, but everyone should join it. I mean, if you want. But I love that, that's just how, that is how you're giving back. You know what I mean? And I think that, I don't know where I was going with that, but it's a really great group, and it focuses. Oh, does someone have a question?
No, I was just saying, I agree with you. I think it's amazing. Like, I know that we've both been touched by that group. And like, there was one quote that you said, Andrea, I haven't really come like out loud with my current issues in that group, but I should. But there was one quote that you said, Andrea, that just like resonated with me, and it's still like, I think about it every day. And I think it was like, you can't focus, it was just like you were giving advice to somebody who was going through some hard stuff, and you were like, you can't focus on your fears, because then you will attract just that like something like that. Like, then you will only attract those fears into your life.
Right.
And that,
you
like,
what you focus on.
Yes. And that was, I mean, I don't know. Like, I feel like I've heard like renditions of that before, but that was insane. Like, that just hit me so hard. So that was, I mean, just like even small tips that you bring into that group is so huge.
Well, if you could, oh, sorry. Like if you, before you jump off, going off of what we were just saying, like if you could give one like story or example quickly about like how like a manifestation not might be pertaining to business, but not necessarily like that happened to you, because I think a lot of people, like I talk about it and they're like, what, attracting and manifesting, like, but you like, and like we were saying in that group, so many people post every day like the receipt with the bank account, and like it's crazy to me, and people I just don't think are aware of that, and it's something that I think everybody should be doing daily and like will totally change their lives. And if you had just like one like story that just really stood out to you in your life that you could share.
Yeah, so the first thing that I ever like realized that I manifested was a protein sandwich from what's that bakery called? Whatever, it doesn't matter. But it was right after I'd watched The Secret, and someone had told me, read the book The Secret right when I started my business. And I rented the book from the library because I was too broke to buy my own personal development books. So I started utilizing the library. And I decided to read the autobiography of Howard Schultz, who created Starbucks, instead of this book. Fuck, dude. And then I didn't pick it up for another year. And I'm a huge believer that we're always exactly where we're supposed to be. And the things will come into our life when we're ready to hear them. So if you start to feel frustrated because you're trying to share something with someone and they're like just not getting it, they're not ready to hear it yet, don't get frustrated. As soon as they're ready to hear it, it's like all of a sudden the clouds part, angels sing, and it's like, oh my God, that rings so true to my ears. But sometimes we just have too much other junk that we're going through to like hear it in a way that's gonna serve us. So I wasn't clearly ready for that book. When I watched the movie actually, and I was like, oh my gosh, this just changed my life. So I realized like, okay, how can I think about this like spiritually, but also scientifically? Because my husband's very, very scientific. He doesn't believe in God. I'm like the complete opposite. I'm like all the spiritual. And I did walk away from my faith for many years. We won't talk about that right now. But like once I kind of got back into reconnecting with this is the first thing that I manifested. I didn't realize at the time. I just thought like, this is a coincidence. When my husband was deployed, I was living with my mom. She was heavily addicted to drugs, prescription pills, and my husband was gone. I was working a full-time job, taking care of 2 little kids, taking care of my addict mother, and also going to school at night. I was dying, and just really, really a very, very challenging area or phase of my life. And I remember thinking, because my husband wasn't in Afghanistan yet, he was still in the States, but he was in Texas and he had to go there for training before they were going to deploy him. So he was gone for a total of 20 months. I think we mentioned this in the beginning, or that might've been the other call. Now they're all bleeding together. But the point of this story, before I get distracted on shiny objects, is I remember laying there in bed one night, getting ready to go to sleep after like the worst day of, I think that was the day that I like intercepted a package where my mom was ordering drugs from India, and I got to the package before she did, and it became this huge like physical blowout fight. And going to bed, crawling in bed, crying, saying like, I just really want to have enough money to fly my husband home, to see him for a moment for my son's birthday before he goes to Afghanistan. And we were broke. And literally, you guys, I still have no idea to this day. Like, I'm going to cry even talking about it. I have no idea like why we got this money deposited into our bank account. But I woke up the next morning after me saying, God, if you're there, hear me now. I need to know you're there. And in that instant, it was like the feeling of a baby being swaddled, you know, that feeling of like warmness, where I just felt like this instant, unexplainable peace and warmth, as if I was being hugged. No, like I had never had any experience like this before. But the next morning we woke up and there was a deposit from the military of them like giving us some kind of like refund for something. I have no idea why, almost to the exact penny of how much we needed for his airplane ticket. I can't tell you guys how that happened. All I know is like, I just have to say like, it was my faith. It was God saying, I've got your back, sister. I'm here for you. that was my first kind of moment of manifesting something that I really, really needed in that moment. And then the protein sandwich was pretty awesome too. Not as cool as and exciting of a story. Watch The Secret. It's very, very surface level when it comes to manifesting, but it just kind of opens the idea and the door. It's not like when you're manifesting, you sit there and you're like, $1,000 is going to rain on my head today. It doesn't work like that. I don't think The Secret dug deep enough in, but it opens the door for the thought of what it's like to use energy to call things into your life. And you guys know that energy works because you can close your eyes and you can imagine your favorite meal or even a tangy lemon or a sour lemon, and your mouth will start to water. So your thoughts will create a physical result in your body just based through your imagination. That's why it's important to control your thoughts, because your subconscious doesn't know the difference between pretend and reality. That's why you can sit there in the comfort of your own home and watch a scary movie and you're like your heart is going to beat out of your chest. You're frightened for your life and you're like, I'm in the comfort of my own home on a cozy couch sitting next to my husband. Why am I so fucking scared? It's because your subconscious doesn't know the difference between reality and make-believe. So the thought is creating a physical result in your body. So you guys can either choose to use those thoughts intentionally to call in what you want, or just kind of let life happen happenstance to you. But it's really fun once you start to figure it out. You guys can join my group. We have all kinds of fun, like manifestation challenges.
I think the one thing that I always struggled with before I started manifesting was believing that it would work. You know, like before you actually experience it working, you're like, is this stuff really going to work? So just like having that belief, even if you've never done manifesting before, having that belief that if you do it, it will work, I think is huge, because it can be hard at the beginning because it's different. You know, it's different than a lot of things that we've learned to do. And some people think it sounds really wacky and weird. I know my husband thinks I'm crazy sometimes when I do it. He's like, what the hell are you doing? I'm like, it works. Just don't talk to me. It works. But before you actually experience it working, it can be hard to have that initial belief, but that initial belief is huge. And like, once you get that belief and you start seeing it happening, you'll realize it's not coincidence. Like when things happen, you'll look back and be like, oh my God, that happened because I was doing this. And then that just kind of like builds and builds and builds. And then you gain confidence in it, which makes you want to do it even more. But yeah, having that belief initially, I think it's stepping outside of your comfort zone. It's believing before you see it.
Mm-hmm. It's really fun. You guys start really small. So one of my first challenges I put in my group was, I want you to just expect an unexpected blessing. It doesn't matter what it is, no matter how big or so small, or no matter how big or how small, and just say like, dear God, help me to recognize what this blessing is. Once I see it, I'll know what it is. And some people would experience money. Some people would experience, just a stranger being kind to them. It's just little things. But when I wake up every day with expectations of like miracles are going to happen today, big and small. Sometimes big ones happen, sometimes small ones happen, but I live in expectation of miracles and unexpected blessings on a daily basis. And life is so much more fun. Who wants to live expecting that we're programmed from the time that we're little? What did we learn? Money doesn't grow on trees, which is actually a lie. Yes, it does. And life is supposed to be a hard struggle. No, it's not. It doesn't have to be a hard struggle. If you guys master manifesting, your business will not be a hard struggle. It will be work. You're going to have to step up and do the work every day, but it will be fun and it will not feel like a struggle. It will be very joyful and you'll love it. It's just a different experience. Life is a different experience. Who wants to live in an expectation that shitty things are going to happen all the time? Not me. I'm not going to join your group if that's the vibe you're putting out.
I could keep talking to you all night, but I know that you have to get going and everyone else probably does too. But I just wanted to say thank you so much for doing this call for us. And for anybody, we've been talking about this group, the Spiritual Girl Millionaires. It's open to everyone. So if you're not in it, you should be in it. It's awesome. But thank you so much for being here with us tonight. I know we all know you're super busy and we really appreciate it. So thank you.
No, it's such an honor. Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you, Andrea.
Welcome. Have an awesome night, guys.
You too.
Good night.
Good night.